Okay. Welcome to Hollywood and Sip. I'm your host, Kat Smith. And with me today, I have Sophie Buddle, who is a stand-up comic and a comedy writer. And she has a new CD out called Lil Bit of Buddle. And it's super funny. It's really relatable. And right away, we already realized we both have funny voices. So you probably think you're listening to kids.
Definitely. Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. One quick note, because this will air on the radio, I know that you have a little bit of colorful language in your CD. So we want to make sure we keep it PG so I don't have to edit.
No problem.
Okay. So the first track is called Old Teen, and that's what made me think of the voice thing. What are some of the subjects, without giving away the jokes, what are some of the subjects you cover in your album?
Well, I try to do stuff that, the most people can relate to. So a lot of relationship stuff, concerns. That's pretty much it. It's pretty relationship and concern heavy.
What, because I know you didn't record it now since you can hear the audience. When did you record this?
So I actually recorded it 2 years ago, and then it took me a year to kind of get my act together and put it out. And I say how old I am on it, and then it also came out a year after that. So I like to kind of get ahead of lying about my age. So I'm really glad that it caused a lot of confusion.
I love that. And I know you got your start at a really young age. How did you get that start?
Yeah, so I started stand-up when I was 15 in Ottawa. I'm in Ottawa right now. It's my hometown. I'm visiting my mom. And there's not a ton to do here. And I've always been I was doing like writing and acting, but neither of those were quite right for me. And then my mom and I started going to comedy clubs, and we were going to this one club kind of every week as like a little mother-daughter date. And it was amateur night. So it's not like it was professionals. We weren't watching people going up and just crush it. And there's a lot of people going up and bombing, going up and struggling, and that obviously makes it a lot less intimidating to start for a teen. And I mean, another thing is just that when you're younger and you're doing anything, people are just proud of you for doing something. So it didn't really matter if I was good or not, which you can feel. You pick up on that energy. People were like, "Wow!" People kept telling. I don't know. I wouldn't say it. Well, I'll say it and we'll see. People kept saying like, "Wow, you have such balls." And
you can say that one. You can say that one.
Yeah. Okay, I figured balls was like on the line. But people always used to tell me I had such balls, and I thought that was so cool. But then I realized that it was just like people thought I was brave for going up and doing so bad for so long. But I thought it was like some material. You got balls.
Oh no.
But yeah, no. Eventually, I got better. Obviously.
And one of the things I think about too is that a lot of comedians will get up and they'll say, I went to law school, or I went to school to be a doctor, and then I became a comedian. Think what my parents think about me now. But your mom actually supported you in this journey.
Oh, yeah. Both my parents are creative types. My mom is a painter and my dad's a musician. So there was never really an issue with it was nice to have kind of unconditional support in the arts. Like, obviously, they would have preferred if I was a little bit more into school, just in case. Because when I started, I knew that kind of the peak for stand-up comics, at least in Canada, is like you can do a weekend of shows for like a couple $100, and you can't even do that every week. So it's not really sustainable for your life. So that was a bit nerve-wracking. But I write for a TV show now, so there's slightly more stable there. And I mean, it's just kind of shocking that it worked out at all. Like my mom and I were just talking about how there's nobody more surprised that my life is going okay than the three of us, like me and my parents.
One of the jokes, I won't give it away, but you reference your love of Charlie's Angels. And I mentioned this is relatable. My sister and I and our friend from down the block, since the 4th grade, we were always playing the Charlie's Angels.
Yes.
What am I? Anyways, we always made her be Sabrina, and I just thought it would be fun to note that to this day, she still thinks we made her the ugly one. I'm like, did you not see all the documentaries that came out? She was the smart one. She was the beautiful one.
That's so funny. I mean, you're so lucky. I always wanted to be the Drew Barrymore Charlie's Angel, but I had a friend with red hair, so she obviously always got to be her.
Oh, obviously. Yeah. And I had
Yeah.
blonde hair, so I always got to be Farrah Fawcett. Now I have red hair, but I had blonde hair at the time. So
yeah, it's important to be different Charlie's Angels at different points. And
exactly.
yeah.
And again, speaking of not giving away the punchlines, I just want to mention that you have a lot of really good theories in there too. I'm behind some of those theories. So, you just won the JUNO Award for Best Comedy Album of the Year. Was that for this album or for your first album that you released?
This is my album. This was my first album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I won, and it's pretty cool because I've never won anything before. So this is a big first for me.
And I read that comedians don't get a lot of trophies, so there's that.
No, we don't get it. There's not really opportunities for trophies in comedy. And then obviously none of us were athletic growing up. So we didn't get any sports trophies either. So this is very exciting.
And then you must feel a little bit of, I don't even know what to say. You're the first woman comic to win the award. So there's got to be a lot of pride there.
Yeah, there's a lot of pride. Like the JUNOs have so they did the comedy award for a really long time, but then the past like 10 years or so, they kind of took a break. I don't know why, just comedy was dry, I guess, for a couple years in Canada. And then I think 3 years ago, they started the comedy award back up again. And like the two guys that have won before me are both like real like Mount Rushmore of Canadian comedians. So it feels very special to be aligned with them in any way. And yeah, to be the first woman is very cool, but I also know that I'm not going to be the last. Like the female comedy scene in Canada is so strong, and like most of the comics in Canada that I look up to at this point are female comics. So it's like it's obviously a really great time for women in comedy, and people always want to talk about like what's it like to be a woman in comedy, and it's like right now it's good.
And you mentioned also the TV show that you work on, and that's This Hour Has 22 Minutes. Is that the right name? Because I saw it both ways. I saw it 22 minutes, and I saw it This Hour Has 22 minutes.
Yeah, like we just say 22 minutes because who has the time?
Right, too many words.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like a political sketch show, kind of comparable to SNL, but it's been I guess SNL's been on the air for a long time, but I think that we're on our 27th season. So very long running show in Canada, sketches, commercial parodies, little copy jokes, that kind of thing.
And just out of curiosity, do you make fun of our president ever?
Oh, it's like, what is there to make fun of even? Yeah, I mean, it's honestly so hard because like we always gravitate to making fun of stuff in the States because it's so much more and so flashy. And then we have our little scandals that don't get covered enough. Like with Trudeau, like our prime minister, he keeps having these like scandals. Like there's one happening right now, but it's so boring. Like everyone in America knows how to have an exciting scandal, and ours is like he gave speaking arrangements to someone that his mom had a relationship with. Like it's just that's not good fodder for comedy.
One of my favorite things
is tape,
right? Yeah. One of my favorite things is watching. I have lots of Canadian friends, mostly because of film festivals, ironically. But I love watching their feeds when they post things and they say, "Is this really happening in America right now?" Or some of them have said they were going to start dating shows, and the winner would get to marry them for Canadian citizenship. I'm just wondering your take on what's happening in our country right now.
Well, it's pretty crazy. Like obviously, Trump is crazy, and I don't know how much you've been following the stuff that his niece has been saying, but she's really explained a lot of stuff that we've kind of always suspected. That just basically this man he's never had love in his life. Like his parents didn't really love him or support him, and I think it's like honestly like the best example for good parenting, everything that Trump is doing to the States, because it's like doesn't care about other people. He's very humorless. He's not smart. He doesn't really seem to be good at anything. And I think that it always ends up rooting back to your formative years with your parents. So I think every huge mistake he's made, it's on a very large scale, but it's a good example of why you should love and support your children.
For sure. And I just found your podcast, which I'm totally going to check out, called Obsessed with Sophie Buddle. Tell us about that show.
Oh yeah, so it's just I have people on and we talk about stuff that we're obsessed with. And obsessed obviously is a strong word. It's just like stuff that we like. And then, I mean, usually my obsession is American politics so that I can, talk about that, update everybody. Lately, I've been really obsessed with all the Jeffrey Epstein stuff because now there's Ghislaine Maxwell stuff going on too. And I think also my prediction for this Halloween is that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein is going to be like the costume for couples. Probably
right.
Not,
I don't think so.
You want something?
Oh no, you froze for a second. Welcome back. Hi.
Hi, thanks. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either. It could have been my end, but you just froze and never came back.
I know, same. It was so sad. I'm glad we figured it out.
Yes, okay. So we were talking about your podcast when the screen froze, and I'm not sure where I lost you, but it's Obsessed with Sophie Buddle. Do you have a different guest every week? How does the show work?
Yeah, most of the time I have a different guest. I often have my boyfriend on, he's kind of an unofficial co-host, and I always remind him of that.
It's unofficial.
A very unofficial co-host. And then I just like to have him on, because he's I'm not great at asking questions, but he's really good at asking questions. So I like to have him around, but he's very introverted. So sometimes we'll be going into an episode and he'll just say to me, just so you know, I don't think I'm going to talk on this episode. And I'm like, okay, well, your aura can be
That's
good.
Okay.
And we talk about lots of stuff, usually kind of conspiratorial things on my end, which is something that I have to deal with, but it's very fun. I love doing a podcast, and I think it's good for comedians to have one because we're not like musicians. We can't put stuff out that often. So if people like what you're doing, it's nice for them to have a little dose of you at a slightly slower pace than normal stand-up.
And it keeps you on your mind too, so that when we ever get out of this again, if you're doing shows, they remember, oh right, we like her. We've been listening to her every week.
Exactly. And then you get ideas for jokes out of it too, because you tell stories every week. It forces you to find more things interesting. Whereas stand-up is always such a small nugget, and that goal doesn't come along very often. But
right.
A podcast story is no problem.
Am I right that your boyfriend is a writer on the sketch comedy show also?
Yeah, he's also a writer on the show, and he's a stand-up comic too. And he started also when he was 15, and we also met both of our first years at Just for Laughs for the same year. We've had a very parallel life, just slightly different places.
Oh, how interesting. And just why don't you give out his name too, so he can get a little comedian love also?
Yeah, his name is Mace Galoni. And so if we get married, I'll have a rhyming name.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah.
And you're both up in Vancouver? Is that right? I know you said you're in Ottawa now, but are you based out of Vancouver?
Well, I'm definitely based out of Vancouver. He does spend a lot of time there, but he's based out of Hamilton, which is near Ottawa. It's just a little town near Toronto.
Well, we have been talking to Sophie Buddle, a stand-up comic, comedian, writer, and you have a new CD out called Lil Bit of Buddle. Where can people find out more about you, follow you on social media, find the CD? Or downloads. I guess not a lot of people download they download now as opposed to buying CDs, I guess.
Oh yeah, I don't think I made any physical CDs. I probably should, but it's available for free on Spotify and Apple Music if you have that. My podcast also is available everywhere. I'm Sophie Buddle on Twitter and Sophie Buds on Instagram.
And then do you have a website also?
I do. I'm pretty sure it's sophiebuddle.com, but it might be sophiebuddlecomedy.com. I don't really update it. So
well, that was a loaded question because I remember I had just pulled up your website. Sophiebuddlecomedy.com. See, gotcha.
Okay, there you go.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, and good luck with the CD that's not a CD and the writing. And I hope you get to do stand up on a stage again soon.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great to meet you.
And I'm glad you got to call back and wrap it up with me, because otherwise I was just talking to the camera by myself and it wasn't going to be as entertaining.
I know, you'd have to pretend we got in a big fight. You'd have to stage like a big
I hung
argument.
up on her. That's what happened.
Yeah, left in a huff.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.